2002, and I've been providing 401k advice to a lot of you here and helping with your retirement. Rafiq's going to make a presentation today, and the presentation is to help you guys understand what's happening here in terms of a transition on our 401k fund. Why are we making this change? And he'll hit on all the points. But to maybe put everybody at ease, even at the start of the meeting, guys, we're not changing out of American funds. Okay? We're going to keep most of the American funds in the plan. We're just not going to be restricted to only American funds. We'll be able to make some adjustments where American funds doesn't have as good as performance to add some other funds. And then we'll talk a little, Rafiq will get into a little more detail what we're changing and why. And if none of you ask questions, I'll go in the audience and
heckle. He's looking for the word heckle. Yeah. Yes. So again, my name is Rafiq. I work with Darren. You're all familiar with Darren, as he mentioned. He's been working with you for many years. We're transitioning the 401k plan from American Funds to Empower Retirement. Empower Retirement's the brand you've seen. Almost looks like a flag. You'll start getting notifications from them. And we want to just go through what are the pros and cons of that here today. Really, they're all pros that we're going through today. So really the first thing I want to just set your minds at ease is in a few months, you're going to get a statement from American Funds that says you have a zero balance. That's on purpose. We did that on purpose. So don't get nervous when you get that, because you'll receive another statement from Empower Retirement that actually shows your balance transferred from American Funds to Empower. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you. But really the main reason we made this change, as Darren just mentioned, is because Empower has a greater fund selection. American Funds has excellent mutual funds in many of the investment categories that you want in your 401k, but they're not the best across all categories. And so as Darren just mentioned, now we're going to have excellent funds across all the categories, and in places we thought we could improve upon, we went ahead and did that. So instead of having 15 funds available to you, you're going to have 28 funds available to you. Now, the funds that you have in your current plan are going to map over, is what they call it, in that if you had Washington Mutual at the American Funds 401k as your mutual fund, it's going to end up at Empower as Washington Mutual. You don't have to do anything. So most of you aren't going to need to do anything. You're just going to end up in the exact same spot you were at American Funds over here now at Empower Retirement. Now, of those 28 funds, 9 of those are age-based funds, or also called target date funds. And what that does is, based on your birthday or based on your own selection, you're going to have say a target date fund in 2040. And what that's saying is that you're targeting retirement in the year 2040. And what that means is, for somebody who's younger, who has a long time before their retirement, it's going to be invested more for growth. And for somebody who's getting closer to retirement, it's going to be invested more conservatively and fluctuate less. And what's nice about these funds is that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to readjust them as time goes on. There's a manager at American Funds who's going to naturally make that transition for you as you get closer to retirement.
Rafiq, are those target date funds, are they one fund or are they a fund of multiple funds?
And that's exactly right. The second choice that you just mentioned, it's one fund, this target date 2040, but in that it's going to have funds that it invests in. It's going to invest in a growth fund. It's going to invest in an international fund. It's going to invest in bond funds as you get closer to retirement. Come on in, you can have a seat, no problem. Welcome. And the other benefit at Empower, which we think is better than at American Funds, is now there's going to be a stable value fund. And it's currently paying 1.1%. At American Funds, your money market fund is paying 0. So now, if you don't want to invest in stock funds or bond funds, now you can invest in this cash account that's actually paying an interest rate. And that's guaranteed to never fluctuate up and down. Now, this rate can fluctuate, but it will never be a negative rate, right? They'll only pay a positive interest rate in that stable value fund. We've added index funds, which are low-cost investments that you can now access right in your 401k. And basically what that means is just if you want to own the entire stock market or you want to own the entire international stock market, you can do that now. And because you're doing that, you don't pay as high of a fee internal to that fund, and that's why we've added those to your plan. And we've also added a real estate fund. So if you want to invest in real estate, you can now do so right here in your 401k. The next big reason we've made this change is because Empower has better technology. The website that you're going to access is not just an award-winning 401k website, but it's actually an award-winning website altogether in terms of just the design and the functionality. And what's so cool about this is right when you log in, it knows how you're invested, it knows what your contribution rate is, and it's going to give you a score as to how on track you are to replacing your paycheck once you retire. And I'm going to show you that here in just a few minutes. The other neat thing is you can access this website right on your desktop computer, on your iPad, or on your iPhone. So across whatever technology you're using to access the internet, it can meet that. But above and beyond that, it's not just better for you, it's better for Prairie as well. It's going to save Prairie time in terms of processing the day-to-day 401k tasks. So again, Empower just has much better technology. It has this EIK, no, I'm just kidding, that's not us. I don't know how this happened. Oh, there it is, there we go. It's the magic touch. And then the next reason we made this change is because Empower's primary business model is a 401k platform, whereas American Fund's primary business model is money management. And so American Funds is excellent at managing investments, and so we're still going to leave their investments in this 401k plan. Again, most of you aren't going to need to change anything because the same investments you had now are going to end up in the new 401k plan. But Empower is so much better at running the actual back office end of a 401k platform that now we have the best of both worlds. So what I'm going to do is just go through a quick demo of the website. After that, we'll go through this 401k worksheet that all of you have in front of you, which can help you as you get on the website as to what decisions you need to make, and as a guide and how to read that. And then finally, we'll go through what are the new investments that are in the 401k plan. Okay, so when you first log into the website, what you'll see is something many of you may remember before direct deposit called a paycheck. And this is Taylor Smith in this example. And Taylor's, and really the whole reason you have this 401k and the reason we're here today is because we're trying to replace this paycheck in retirement. And what you'll notice is, first and foremost, there's a score there. Taylor is 68% of reaching his goal is replacing his income in retirement. Now that's made up of a few different sources. In green on the left-hand side, you can see Taylor's savings. So the money that Taylor has put in previously, plus the money that it's projecting Taylor is going to continue to add to his 401k, factors in there, and once Taylor gets to retirement, that's going to be about $411 per month Taylor can expect from that. Of course, Prairie's making contributions as well, so you have that 4% profit share contribution that they're making on your behalf. That's of course offset by prevailing wage contributions. And of course, for those of you that are working prevailing wage jobs, you're getting those contributions that may be above and beyond that 4%. The system knows what your income is, and so because of that, it can put a pretty darn good estimate with regards to your Social Security, and it's going to factor that in. And if you want, you can add other outside assets. So if your spouse has a retirement account, if you have a retirement account from a previous job, you can add that to this website. What that leaves you with, though, is this red area. That's the income gap. That's what we're trying to close, right? Because we want to replace our paychecks in retirement. And so the reason we love this website is because if you scroll down here, it's going to show you what are the levers of change you can make to close that gap. So right now, Taylor's at 68% of his goal. And what he can do is first take a look at his contributions. Right now he's contributing 4%. Now if Taylor goes ahead and increases that with these sliders, which really doesn't take very long at all to get a better idea, he can say, well, okay, what if I contribute 10% of my income? Well, that already made a big difference, right? We went from 68% to 86%. And what that means is that he can expect roughly, down here you'll see about $715 more per month based on that. But more importantly, what Taylor can see is how much is that going to cost him today per month, right? So to increase his contribution 10%, it's going to cost him $272.50 per month out of this month's paycheck. And so now you've got an idea of, okay, well, if I want to contribute more, what's that going to do to my paycheck today? And I think that's really helpful because it gives you an idea of exactly how it's going to affect your monthly bottom line.
But I think it's important too, Rafik, because it also shows them what their income would be on a monthly basis. So, I mean, you're putting away $272 a month, but what you're also getting in return, guys, in the future, I want to stress this is a projection. Lots of things have to happen to make sure that happens too. But based on a historical point, is that you're replacing, that's the income. $272 a month, you're going to get back, and this is an example, $700 a month in retirement for as long as you retire, to protect out that 92.
Yeah.
So that's really what you're doing is you're looking at what do I need to do to make this work. The other nice thing about this piece here is we're taking a little more time, but literally you guys can work with this for about 4 or 5 minutes and get a quick sense of, okay, where am I and where do I want to be? What do I need to do to get there? And anyway, walk through it. I'm sorry, I'm jumping in that way.
No problem, no problem. Now, 86 might not be a good enough number, right? Taylor might say, well, okay, this is if I retire at age 65. I know my full retirement age based on Taylor's age here, at least for Social Security, 67. Does that get me there? Well, that's 99%. Okay, it looks like Taylor needs to work to age 68 in this example, contributing 10%. Of course, Taylor could increase his deferral and work a shorter period of time. Of course, Taylor could decrease his deferral and work a longer period of time. But now, right at your own home, you can start playing with these sliders and get a pretty good idea of what's most comfortable for you. You can sit around your own kitchen table, talk to your spouse about that, and start to get a better idea of what it used to take us quite a long time to do a financial plan to get to this. This 401k website does a lot of great work for you and makes it really simple for you. So again, we just want to highlight that. The next thing I want to share is that this website, if you click on this My Accounts page, has everything that you'll want just in general to know about your 401k. So up top what you'll see is that Taylor is currently contributing 4% pre-tax. It'll show you what the company match is here. In your case, you don't have a company match, you have a 4% profit sharing contribution that you don't have to put money in to get. You're going to get that automatically. Of course, that's offset by prevailing wage contributions. So for those of you that are working prevailing wage jobs, that might be even more than 4%. It'll show you what Taylor's personalized rate of return is, and it'll tell you if you have beneficiaries on file. All of you should go in online once you get an email from Carrie saying that we're out of blackout and update your beneficiaries. Now, Empower is going to track those beneficiaries, and you can change those right here on the website by just clicking on this beneficiaries link right here on the left-hand side. If you were going to get a mortgage or something along those lines where somebody was saying, hey, please get us your 401k statements, and you didn't have those in a drawer somewhere, you're able to go here and print those all out right from this page as well. Way up here, statements and documents. Sorry, I was way off there. And then, and again, finally, I mean, just everything you'd want to see here that you typically call us for, please don't hesitate to call us. We're still just as happy to help you with that. But again, if you don't feel like calling us, you can access that information right here on the website. So, some of you are more visual. You don't want to do everything on the computer screen. And so we've also included this 401k worksheet that you've got in front of you. And what it does is it gives you an idea of what are the questions you should be asking yourself as you go to log into this website. First off, it lists the website right on top so that you can easily find that. Again, you'll be getting emails from Carrie that will also provide a link right to that website. And the first question you're going to ask yourself, and maybe with the help of the website, is how much do you want to be contributing? Now, what you're all used to is the traditional 401k, which is where you get a tax deduction today, and then eventually when you go to pull the money out in retirement, it's taxable to you then. You also have the option of making a Roth contribution where you pay the taxes today, but then when you go to pull the money out in retirement, it comes out tax-free. Now, if that's something you have questions on, that's the exact type of question that you should be calling Darren and myself to talk through. And we're happy to talk through your individual situation as to what's best. Is how do you want to invest the monies within the plan? Historically, your default fund was the American Balanced Fund, which is a mix of stocks and bonds. And now the default funds are going to be these target date funds. And that's a really great thing because, again, for somebody who's much younger, instead of this middle of the road balanced fund, we're going to have a portfolio that's more invested for growth. And for somebody who's closer to retirement, you're going to have a retirement account that's more conservatively invested. Now, when you go to choose your target date fund, if you want to retire in 2040, as we'll just stick on that example, and that's the default based on your birthday, but you say, you know, I don't plan on retiring in 2040, I know I want to work a lot longer than that, you can actually change that fund yourself. So you can choose a different target date here. But what's important to know is that you're going to choose just one of these target date funds. And so, unlike the middle section, you're going to choose either one fund from section 3, or you're going to choose a number of different funds from section 4, and these are going to add up to 100%. Darren and I both highly recommend that you don't cross-contaminate, if you will. You're going to choose just one target date fund, or a variety of these funds that add up to 100%. To make it easier on you, what we've done is we've listed this worksheet in order of risk. So that key guaranteed portfolio, that's not going to fluctuate at all. That's just going to earn the interest rate that it's paying at the time. And so that's the most conservative fund available to you. And if you work down that list, and then up again to this Artisan Mid-Cap Value Investor, and then down to this DFA US Small Cap, those are listed in order of risk. So as I mentioned before, the key guaranteed portfolio is the most conservative. This DFA US Small Cap Fund is the least conservative. It's going to fluctuate the most. There's the most potential for long-term growth. And so that's the trade-off there that we have here in these funds. And as I mentioned before, again, if you have any questions and you want to go down that path and you'd like to just talk to Darren or I regarding if it's the right mix for you, please call us. My card's in front of every single one of you, and there's more in the back. Carrie has our phone number. We are here to help you make those decisions. Finally, the last thing you need to decide with regards to your 401k plan is if something were to happen to you, who should get this money? It's important that you go in and you actually designate that, because if your family's in mourning, you don't want to make them jump through any extra hoops than they have to be able to get this money. God forbid something happened to you. So those are the questions that you're going to ask yourself as you go to log in on this website. Again, some people will just jump on the website and do it all themselves. Others like to work it through on a worksheet. Either one's okay. So I now want to go through what are the new funds available to you in this 401k plan. First and foremost, all of these target date funds are new to your 401k plan. So as I mentioned, if you don't do anything, if you don't make any elections, the new default funds are based on your birthday, these target date retirement funds. In the international space, we've added the Vanguard Total International Stock Index. We've also added the DFA Global Real Estate Securities Fund, so that's new as well. And we've also added this DFA US Small Cap Fund. This is the first fund on our list that you'll actually see. This is being replaced. This is replacing the American Fund Small Cap World Fund. So anywhere we saw that we thought we had a better fund available, we made that change, and it's automatically going to go to that new fund that we thought was better. And so you don't need to do anything. If you had money in the small cap world, it's going to land in that DFA US Small Cap Fund. We've added the Artisan Mid-Cap Value Investor Fund. Those are up here. And the Great West T. Rowe Price Mid-Cap Fund as well. In the large cap space, we've added the Dodge & Cox Stock Fund, the SME Value Fund, and the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index. Those are all available to you now as well. We've added the Great West Loomis Sales Bond Fund and the Metropolitan West Total Return Bond Plan. That's actually another one of those replacements. If you had money in the Bond Fund of America, it's going to go into the Metropolitan West Total Return Bond Fund. And then finally, again, you have the Key Guaranteed Portfolio, which is the fund I mentioned earlier, is paying 1.1%.
Anything in cash will go to that.
And anything in the money market will go to that. So, what's next? Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is when you get the email from Carrie, you're going to log into this website. We estimate that to be around August 18th. So we're going on just a little bit more than a week now. Once you're in, first thing, you're going to name your beneficiary. That's the most important thing. The next thing you're going to do is update your investment allocation if you need to. If you decide you want to change your deferral percentage, you can do that right there. Again, on those sliders, one thing I wanted to highlight for you is after you slide it and say, okay, I found the exact percentage I want to contribute, you can click the button right there. It will say, oh, this is review your changes, and you're going to contribute 6% now instead of 4%, for example. And then you click submit, and that sends an email to Prairie for them to make that change. So you're going to be able to make all those changes on your beneficiaries, on how you're invested, on what you're contributing, all right here through the website. So you're going to update your investment allocation if necessary, update your deferral percentage if necessary, and of course, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're here to help. Are there any questions on that?
Back on that check where it had Social Security, how is that calculated?
Yeah, that's based on your income. And so it's going to estimate it based on your income today.
Current income.
Yeah. Now, let's say your income today is wildly different than what your income was previously, and that's completely wrong. What you can do is you can opt to just take off Social Security. You'll say, hey, I don't want you to factor this in. And then on those, remember as I said, you can add your outside accounts or you can add an outside pension. You go back in and you add an outside pension of a better, more accurate Social Security. So if you know, hey, I've got my Social Security statement in hand, this is way off, you should make that correction. Yeah. Any other questions?
Jump back to that website real quick if you would, Ruthie, so we can
Sure.
talk about it.
Ask a question quick.
Yeah.
Is that percentage, that stuff we talked about, is that taking into account inflation? Like it's saying, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
It factors in inflation, but the other thing is that it's a projection too, so it has to, it's projecting that you continuing to put in the same amount of money, getting raises, all these things, it all factors into the inflation, absolutely.
And then
The only thing, what's right?
that 10%
Inflation?
No, your retirement, as far as calculated, when you come up with the numbers, there's gotta be a rate of return.
Rate of return. Great question. That's actually based on your mix. If you've got 100% stocks, then
Okay.
yeah, it's going to project closer to 10%. If you've got 100% in that stable value fund, it's going to have a much smaller rate of return that it's assuming. And it actually takes your exact mix into account when projecting out what that rate of return is.
So that 10% was just for,
That 10% that we were talking about
That was
wasn't the rate of return. That was his contribution. That was him saying, you know, if I make $50,000 a year, I'm going to save $5,000.
Back to that paycheck, so-
Yeah. Oh, whoops, that
a
would
lot
make
of
it
times
easier.
the rate of return is like standard 10%, or they just pick a number and throw it in
Right,
there.
right. But I will say that standard 10% is actually the historical rate of return on stocks. That's not just a random number that's been pulled out. Yeah. Going back to like 1926 up until now.
Since 1926
Yeah.
to
now.
2016,
Yeah.
it's a little over 9.5
Yeah. Yep.
on the S&P.
I was just looking at the last 10 years, they were like all under 10.
Yeah, and just think about the last 10 years. It's 2017 right now, meaning it started in 2007, and then we had the worst downturn since the Great Depression included in that. And even still, though, those numbers aren't I mean, come 2 years from now, I will point out that those numbers will look almost too good,
Well,
right? Because you'll have those bad
that-
years
that
drop
bad
off.
year will fall off. But
Yeah.
also, the other issue with that too, is that on those funds, these are what it's a share class that hasn't been around 10 years. So on that, on some of those share classes, it's not cap share at 10 years. So it still says lifetime or 10 years, it's capturing that time.
Yeah.
But if you
So
want-
set the bar lower. I agree with you. I mean, again, these are all projections on that. Take it all with a grain of salt and say, well, I'd rather be more conservative about it. I agree with that sentiment. Yeah. Please go ahead.
So basically what we have now is really your number 4 option here.
Yep.
Because this number 3 didn't exist.
Exactly right.
So if I was going to the website and let's say I wanted to pick a date, I pick one of the dates, will that change that number up there before I save it?
Will it change the percentage?
Will it change? Yeah, because it would know the history of this type of allocation versus what I have now.
Right, it would change that number based on the new portfolio.
Wait, I'm not
And
certain.
then do that comparison before I save it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying, and the answer is, I don't know if we can.
Yeah, I'm not certain I totally get the question. You're
So-
saying that if you, because before you had just the choices of your
Right
current
now I have
investment.
certain choices.
Yeah.
And I wanna see, unless I change it to 2025.
Yeah.
And I select that.
Yeah.
Before I make that saving, I wanna know how that changes my
Yeah.
little check stub numbers on the screen.
Yeah, and no, we don't.
Yeah, but I can answer that question. I can answer that
Go ahead.
question. Okay, it's gonna change it because what you have is currently, because I know our portfolio is helped with, it's more aggressive than the retirement one in 2025. It's more aggressive, so it will reduce you will have to save more because the risk that you're taking out is higher than the risk is on that 2025. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I also just want to point out one limitation on the website here, whereas I think this is an excellent projection in terms of changing your contribution rate and changing the year you retire, and those two things I think are pretty robust and give you a real good idea of what you're looking at. It doesn't allow you to say, if I pick this exact investment mix, how is that going to affect this number? Now, Darren has that institutional knowledge, right? He can talk to you about that in terms of what is that mix going to affect this, but the website's not going to be able to do that quite as well. It does have this slider down here that says, okay, well, if I do it myself, right now I'm at a 60-40 mix. What if I went to a 40-60 mix? And that had a slight impact on this up top.
And the
But
next-
it's not that,
Yeah.
that one's not as good, which is why I didn't bring it up. So it's helpful, but it's not as helpful. And so, again, that's something we would suggest you talk to us about. But these are good questions. Please keep them coming.
And guys, and you can jump on this website and get a sense of where you're gonna be in less than 5 minutes now. In other words, if you wanna project because most of the stuff is built in, so if you wanna move that slider and say, okay, I'm gonna chop my contribution up 10%, okay, then you'll know I'm gonna work till whatever age. It really gives you a sense of where you are. Okay, the other thing that everybody and this is where they can't project it because they don't know for what everybody does on prevailing wage. So for the people that are working prevailing wage, okay, what you may need to do is get a sense from, Carrie, I'm not throwing you under the bus if I ask, and then go ask you, am I? But let's say you're looking, okay, well, let's say over the last 5 years, I've gotten 10% from prevailing wage. Sure, it automatically gives you a 4, that covers everybody. Okay, but if you're getting, let's say 6% a year in prevailing wage too, you need to add that in there in your projection so it counts that, because it won't count that. It'll count all the money that you have in, but it can't project your future prevailing wage because nobody knows that. So if you think, well, hey, I'm gonna get the prevailing wage for a number of more years, and then project it in there, and it'll make your number a lot nicer, but you give you some sense of how to use the tool.
So right now, we're just trying to learn how to use the tool. There was a date of the 18th.
The August 18th is when because we moved the plan from American funds to Empower, we want to make sure that all the money you had in your account ends up in your account. And so we were undergoing something called a blackout period. And this is the 30-day period that we're in right now where you can't make any changes. You can't make changes to your investments, you can't make withdrawals, you can't do any of that. But on the 18th is when that's going to be lifted. That's when we're suggesting you go in online, you decide if you do need to make any changes, and you do so at that time. And that's what we're saying. Right now, we're just trying to give you a tour that when you do log in, you've got an idea of where you're going.
And the other important point here too is if you don't ever use this, if you don't ever look at it, it doesn't affect your investments or your plans. This is just if you want to go in and say, hey, have I saved enough for retirement? What's my income going to be if I go retire? This is going to give you a strong sense of that. But if nobody wants to go in and look at this and touch it, I hope it's not nobody. I hope somebody do. But if you don't want to, it doesn't mean anything in your 401k law. We still would highly encourage you. If you guys truly say, Darren, I don't want to come talk about my plan. I don't have time. I'm working. I've got kids going 10 different ways. Okay, you don't need to sit and meet with us. But if you get time to do that, usually we can help you understand a lot better. But if you don't have that time, probably one of the best things you can do now because of the structure is the target date fund. Now this is really, really important on the target date fund. If you use a target date fund, Rafika said this, but this is super important. Don't get 4 or 5 funds. If you use the target date fund, it's the one fund based on when you think you're going to retire. That's what it is. We don't, because the biggest mistake, one of the reasons we haven't put target date funds in the past, because every plan that we've ever seen, picks 4 different funds, and then it damages the user. Why?
Half of me wants to retire next year, but the other half knows me. So, yeah, we don't want that.
So anyway, that's actually a good addition to our plan for those that say, hey, I'm 20 years old, I'm young, just put me out there at the long age, I got lots of time. Once I get some money in there, then we'll figure it out. Guys, the whole key is just getting the money in, okay? You actually can figure it out later, and that's a good, for those that say, hey, I don't want to do it right now, I want to figure it out later, the target date fund is a really good addition for the target date fund.
For example, if I say, okay, I'm gonna retire at 2020, what happens? If I get a response from Empower saying, okay, you reached this date, and this is what's gonna happen.
Nope.
What is happening?
Okay, so what happens is whatever funds you're in now will be reallocated to funds set up for somebody that's retiring in 2020 based on a whole bunch of facts and assumptions. So make it real simple and say, okay, you were really aggressive, you rang the bell on the market for the last 5 years, it's done real well, you invest all in stocks, and you're happy now. But you know it isn't going to go forever, so now I'm going to be conservative. Okay, so it's going to take you from 100% stock portfolio to more of a portfolio that's going to maybe be 60% stocks and 40% bonds, or 50% stocks and 50% bonds, just depending on the retirement period. So they don't take you all the way over to cash. That's not the way portfolios work. But you're going to move from you're going to be 50% conservative and then 50% more on the kind of the stock side.
That happens automatically.
Yeah. It actually, as you go through the path, it glides with you and gets more, and will glide's the right word, but it goes with you and gets more conservative the closer you move to retirement.
Remember, we're not expecting you to withdraw all of your funds in day 1 of your retirement, right? And so you're still investing for hopefully another 20-year period, which is why you don't end up 100% in cash that day.
Or bonds.
Yeah, cash or bonds. Good questions, though. Keep them coming.
This 401k worksheet has all
Yeah.
the list of the stuff. Where on the website is that you can?
Hey,
Say
great.
you chose to select something different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously-
Great question. You would go to My Accounts, and I realize I've got that over here. So the next thing you would say, okay, under Investments, View Manage My Investments. Here you are. You would say, I want to change my investments. You would say, I want to rebalance my current balance. You would say, I just want to do it right now once. And then you'd hit continue here. In this example, you're doing it yourself, so you would say, I want to do it myself. And it's going to say, okay, well, right now you're in this is a made-up fund, but you're saying you're 100% in this. I want to add view all funds. This is how you would do it right here. Yeah, good question. The other thing you can do is you can add a rebalance feature to where if you say I'm 50% growth in one fund and I'm 50% conservative in another, you can set it up so that annually, if the growth fund grows to 70% and the other one's down to 30% because you've had so much growth on one, to automatically rebalance back to a 50-50 mix. And that's a great thing. You can do that. You can just set that and forget it, and it'll automatically do that, forcing you to sell high and buy low in that example. So we think that rebalancing tool is excellent. And so again, when you get into the nitty gritty of this, if you're real comfortable on the internet and you can log in and just breeze through it, great. But if you get stuck at all, call us. We'll help walk you right through it.
There's no fees for shifting anything around or anything?
Not for shifting anything around, no. 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 You all pay us to help serve you, and that's included in it, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions on that? Or anything regarding the 401k? Or retirement planning in general, please go ahead.
I noticed there's an Empower app.
Yeah.
Is it linked?
Or this.
Okay.
That's this. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I meant when I said you can get on it right on your cell phone, on your iPad, whatever you're using.
Well, one other issue too is your statements now, you can get a paper statement, but they start off electronically. You have to elect the paper statements, so if you didn't like getting paper statements, you're not gonna get them anymore. And if you like them, then you just gotta hop on one time and elect them to get them, and then you don't have to go on the website ever again. if you don't want to. You gotta elect the paper statements.
Yeah, you'll get a group email, like how we've been sending. Have you seen some of the ones come through about Empower yet? So it'll come through same way, and so we're not gonna, once we know the blackout's done, we'll let everyone know that it's safe to log in and
Make changes. Yeah. Well, thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate your business.